So to those agents who have that kind of mentality, my advice to you, and this is what I've been doing with my team right now, is be involved with the community. Find a way for people to know that you care about the community. It's not always about real estate. Okay, because sometimes you have this notion in order for people to know you, you need to talk about real estate. No, you're wrong. You have to be a human being.
You're listening to the Real Estate Sessions. I'm your host, Bill Risser. Listen in as I interview leaders in our industry, getting their stories and their journeys to the world of real estate. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 235 of the Real Estate Sessions podcast. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for telling a friend. Today, we're headed to the heartland. We're headed to Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, to be more specific. And we're going to be talking to Joseph Magsaysay of Better Homes and Garden, actually Vice President Business Development with Better Homes and Garden in St. Louis. Joseph is an amazing guy. Those of you that know him to be very, very energetic, very out there, very engaged. And I can't wait for you to hear Joseph's story. Joseph, welcome to the podcast.
Hi there. I'm very, very blessed and excited to be part of your podcast. Thank you.
Oh, it's been, I should have had John here a while ago because your story is amazing. And I had the opportunity, and we've been ambassadors a few times with Inman, and I've had the opportunity to sit and chat with you. I love your story. It's a great story about what's possible. And I think that's what we want to talk about. Now, you were born in the Philippines. How old were you when you decided to come to the United States?
I was born and raised in the Philippines, and I've been here in the U.S. for 14 years now. I was 25 years old when I arrived here in the U.S.
So what were you doing in the Philippines before you came over here? And I want to get this when I have somebody who's from another country. Just give me a favorite memory, growing up there. What's something you look back on, you just go, you miss?
Okay, so you'll laugh at this because one of my best times when I was in the Philippines was when I was in college. I loved college because here's the thing. In the Philippines, we valued education a lot. If you did not finish college, you will have a hard time finding even a sales position, like at a department store. You will have a hard time finding a job. So education is very, very important. You need to finish college. You need to have a diploma. And that was one of the best times of my life. I took up computer science first for college, but I was really bad in math. I said, oh my God, calculus, physics, are you kidding me? There's no way. So I needed to switch courses. So I took up broadcasting journalism to avoid all the math subjects. And because of that, early in my, during my first year in college, I became friends immediately with graduating students. Students who are graduating college, because I did everything backwards. I took subjects that are like way ahead of me, and I was allowed to do that in the Philippines.
Yeah, so that gets you a place where you're already kind of thinking ahead about what you're going to be doing. Was it going to be a career in journalism? Is that what you were thinking about while you're in school?
Yes, absolutely. Because Philippines we're a little bit westernized. Okay, we at one time, Philippines was very well known to be one of the top call center hubs in the world, together with India, because we speak English very well. We're so westernized. And during that time, call centers were booming. JP Morgan Chase, their biggest operation, it was in the Philippines. You're talking about auto loan mortgages, all in the Philippines.
Wow.
And I actually worked for them before I left the Philippines. But anyway, that's one of the exciting things about the Philippines.
So does that make the transition to the U.S. easier?
It was easier. I was blessed that, for some reason, I had no idea what my mother was thinking when I was born, but English was my first language. Wow. Okay, growing up. However, when I turned 3 years old or 4 years old, I learned how to speak Filipino, or our native language, Tagalog, because one of our maid in the Philippines, we can afford to have maids over there, and she started watching Filipino soap operas or dramas, and I learned the language, through that.
Yeah, so it's almost like watching a telenovela here, and picking up Spanish.
Yeah,
I know people who've done that.
exactly.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. I grew up in San Diego, and San Diego has a large Filipino population. When you moved here, you ended up in Missouri, and I gotta ask you a question. I don't. Is there a big Filipino population in Missouri? It wasn't. I'm just gonna guess no.
No, we are super minority here in Missouri, in the state of Missouri, but we're a lot way smaller in the very small town where I started. It's called Cape Girardeau. Okay, and I will never forget when I was brand spanking new on our way to Cape Girardeau. There was another small town that we lived in. It's called Sikeston, Missouri, and I think population 10,000 or 11,000. My very first day, our very first day at our new apartment. So we were driving a small Suzuki. That was our very first car in America. Small Suzuki. The color was striking blue, bright blue.
Okay.
On our way to our apartment, a one-bedroom apartment, $300 a month in rent, by the way.
Wow.
Very small. As soon as I pulled up at the parking lot, someone shot our car with a pellet gun. One of our neighbors, and he was yelling, "Nobody's going to be driving an Asian car here. An Asian car here." And I said, "Oh my God." So the following day, I had no choice but to buy a Denali. It doesn't get more American than that, right? So
Okay.
there's no way I'm going to be shot again. I'm driving a GMC, General Motors. Like what I said earlier, Philippines is such a westernized country. When I was in the Philippines, my view of America was like New York, Chicago, LA, tall buildings. But we started a very small town with nothing. It's like cotton fields.
Right.
It's a farmland. And I was culture shocked, actually, to be honest. And I said, okay, what is going on here? But you know what? It is what it is. We're in America. This is the land of the free and home of the brave, the best country in the world.
What was your first job here in the States?
Technically, my first job was in the healthcare industry. So my job was I was a business development manager of this healthcare company. My job was to recruit physical, occupational, and speech therapists nationally and internationally, meaning I brought physical therapists, occupational and speech therapists from India, China, Philippines. We brought them here to Missouri because there was one point that there was a huge shortage of physical therapists in the state of Missouri. And then nationally, I was also recruiting therapists from different states, different cities. And I traveled the entire Missouri and the entire state of Illinois to offer rehab services to all nursing homes and hospitals. So we're in the contract therapy. I was like a headhunter.
Somehow we have to get you close to the world of real estate. So there's always a story, right? So I want your story for how you fell into that or made that decision.
Sure. So when we moved to Cape Girardeau from Sikeston, I was a stay-at-home dad for 2 full years. Okay, stay-at-home dad. And when I accepted the job in the healthcare field, I was based 6 hours away from home. And I only saw my son once a week if I got lucky. Because of the drive, it's not like worth it. And when I need to come back again the following day, so essentially, it was so hard because during that time, I mean, the healthcare industry was booming, and I was really really busy. However, Gino, he's 8 years old now.
Yeah.
He woke up one day and said, "Daddy, don't go to work anymore." So I said, "Okay, who's this 2-year-old asking me not to work anymore? Oh my God, he's telling me this." And that hit me big time. So I told myself, you know what? I want to be in real estate. I think I can make this happen. So I called my family, I called my friends, and there was one common theme that all of them told me. They said, "Joseph, there's no way. you are a super minority here in Cape Girardeau. You're going to be the only Asian realtor. There's no Asian realtor here. You're going to be the only Filipino realtor. Nobody knows you, and you don't know anyone. There's no way for you to be successful. I mean, quit it. I mean, real estate, it's a business. You're not a business minded person. You're not an entrepreneur. Why don't you just get a regular job? And that challenged me. I said, whoa, my own family don't trust me. My own family did not believe in me. This is craziness. So you know what I did? I was so eager to prove that they were wrong. Okay, I found a real estate school in St. Louis, which is 2 hours away from Cape Girardeau. And there was a crash course. Like in 1 week, I'm done. I was done on the 48 hours in 1 week. And then add another 2 days, and I was done for the 24 hours. And then I took the test the following day. Of course, when I took the test the following day, I passed the nationals, but I failed the state.
Oh.
I failed the state because there were too much math questions. I said, oh my God, this is where math is coming into play.
Yeah. Yeah, that's common for people.
I know. And unfortunately for me, and then when I read the questions about insurance, well, that's the reason why you need to have an insurance agent. And then question about the lender, that's the reason why you need to have a lender. But anyway, I studied hard and I took the test again and I passed. And as soon as I got my real estate license, I was so excited. So I told my family, first of all, I apologized to them. I said, please don't kill me, but I will never eat at home for the first 6 months. For the first 6 months, I will dine out. I went to the exact same Starbucks, exact same diner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, to prove to everyone that I have a shot in this business, that people will know about me.
I love that strategy. You were doing that strictly to meet people.
Strictly to meet people. And so long story short, so I did that for the first 6 months. And long story short, on my first full year in real estate, I was able to help 35 families buy and sell homes. And here's the most important part. Out of the 35 people, out of the 35 families, 29 were bartenders and servers. That was the most special part, because these bartenders and servers, they are the ones who always, oh, it's you again. How are you? So I became friends with all of them. And back then, they had this notion that a server who's only earning very little, like maybe $3 per hour, and then they're earning from tips, that it's so hard for them to prove that they have the income, to be a first-time home buyer. Okay, but the good thing about me, that I took my real estate classes in St. Louis, which was in a bigger city. I found out immediately that there are a lot of banks over there. That was my notion. If it's a bigger city, there are more banks. If there are more banks, they're more competitive. They will help more people. Now, the lenders in Cape Girardeau back then, they don't approve anyone who has a credit score of below 650. And in St. Louis, they approve first-time home buyers with a low credit score as low as 580, as long as you have the income to support it. So now, because of that, I was able to help 29 bartenders and servers. They called me the magic man. Okay, here's the magic guy. You need to call this guy. He's gonna help you achieve your American dream of home ownership. Okay, on my second year, every time I entered the restaurant, everyone would yell, all the servers and bartenders, they would yell, the best realtor in town is here. And because of my last name, I have a weird last name. People always butcher it, Magsaysay. And they will always say, who's this guy? We've never heard of this guy. And I introduced myself, Joseph Magsaysay. So they love butchering my name. And there was one lady who said, I'm just going to start calling you Mega Sauce. Joseph Magsaysay. Magsaysay is just too much. So because of that relationship with each and every restaurant that I went to, I became friends with the general managers, the owners of the restaurants. So now I was able to attract a little bit of the luxury market because I became friends with them. And, now it became business to business relationship. All of my meetings were held in, cafes, diners, and restaurants.
I don't know if you know this, but in the 200 plus episodes I've done here, the number one profession that realtors have had before they were a realtor was bartender slash server. And so that's interesting to me that that's where you found this niche. But I wonder if have you ever been able to recruit someone that was in that field to become a realtor as well?
Bill, oh my God. Okay, I don't know if you scanned my brain today. My very first buyer's agent was my client who was a bartender.
Think about what they do. They help people, they build relationships with people, they solve their problems. they sometimes have to listen, be a psychologist like a realtor has to, right? All that stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Were you
Yeah.
35 transactions your first year? That's not normal, right?
I knew that it was not normal when when my colleague, okay, because I started Cape Girardeau, small town, but I worked with the biggest real estate company in Cape Girardeau, which was Realty
Okay.
Executives. Okay, I love my brokers over there. They are amazing. They were amazing. I learned a lot from them. I learned how to measure a house, doing it the old school way, because of my broker. He was amazing. However, one of my colleagues over there, my very first day at work, so she gave me an advice, and her advice to me was, you need to do a lot of floor duties, floor call. So I said, okay, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that. Oh, 5 minutes in, I said, no, this is not happening. I'm gonna die. There is just no way. How could someone be successful, like waiting for the phone to ring? If this is gonna be my business model, then I'm gonna go bankrupt. This is just not gonna happen. I mean, Bill, you've met me. You know my personality. I need to be out there. I always and one thing I love about Brian Buffini, before me knowing Brian Buffini, my business model was to be the mayor of your town. And then when I saw his work, when I heard him spoke for the first time, I said, "Oh my God, this is my spirit animal." So yeah, so that's how everything started there.
When did the idea of a team take over for you?
On my second year in Cape Girardeau, I was able to help 120 families buy and sell homes, from 35 to 120. And on my second year, I was already involved. Again, I did everything backwards. Before I became involved locally in my local association, I became involved in the state association. Someone asked me, I was voluntold to join YPN, the Young Professionals Network. The first week that I got my license, before meeting the local agents, I immediately attended my very first business conference for the state.
Wow. Yeah.
And I met a ton of agents over there that I asked questions immediately. I said, okay, how did you become successful? I want to learn from you. And they were like, okay, who are you again? Okay, why are you asking these questions? And what I got from that conference, I took all of the best practices from all of the agents that I spoke with, and I made it my own model when I came back to Cape Girardeau. But being part of the Young Professionals Network and being part of the state association, being involved, helped me immediately, be successful in this business, because I met a lot of team leaders. Okay, and that's when I realized how small Cape Girardeau was. I said, okay, I'm licensed in the state of Missouri. I already helped 35 families in my first year, 120 families in my second year. There's nothing to prove in Cape Girardeau. If I'm going to have a headache, I want to have a bigger headache. I want to be in a bigger city. So here comes again all the white noise. My family and my friends, some friends in St. Louis that I met, realtor friends, they said, Joseph, you don't know St. Louis. There's no way you're going to be successful. It's so different. Cape Girardeau is a small town. St. Louis is a bigger town. Cape Girardeau Realtors, back then we had 300 members. Now I'm going in a territory that has 14,000 members. I said, Joseph, you're going to have a headache. I said, fine. I want to have a headache. So all of them kept on telling me, you don't know the market, you don't know the market, you don't know the market. So I said, you know what? Let me teach these people a lesson. You know what I did, Bill? I started attending open houses. For 2 straight weeks, I attended open houses. And then I recruited the agents who were hosting the open houses, because I needed someone to know the market. And when they joined my team, I formed the impact team immediately. And I switched brokerage. I switched to Keller Williams, from realty executives to Keller Williams, because Keller Williams had the best training when it comes to teams. They embraced the team model, and their training is the best. That's why I picked them. No one recruited me to join Keller Williams, just FYI. When I was recruiting these agents who were hosting the open houses, I told them, okay, we're all switching to Keller Williams. And they even asked me, Joseph, hold on a second. You've only been in the business for 2 years. We've been in the business longer than you. And why are we listening to you again? And I told them, because I drew a small square. This small square is your vision. And I drew a bigger square. And this is my vision for all of us. We combine all our visions, we're going to have a bigger vision. So for some reason, they believed in me, and they bought what I was trying to sell. And we all switched to Keller Williams. One of the reasons also why I decided to form a team, because in my second year, there was a point that I was attending business conferences and I had 20 listings and 20 buyers. My phone was ringing nonstop. And I told myself, Joseph, you're not Superman anymore. There's no such thing as Superman. Majority of the successful agents, they were able to leverage immediately in their young careers. So if they were able to do this, you need to be able to do that again. And I hope you ask me, who was my first hire?
Let me think. Joseph, building a team, I think it's critical to do it the right way. So who was your first hire?
I did not follow the conventional wisdom.
So the conventional wisdom, from what I've heard from everybody, is it's an admin.
Correct.
You didn't go that route.
Yeah. And then the second choice conventional wisdom would be a transaction coordinator.
Right.
I did not do that as well.
Okay.
And then now a rebel, what he's going to do is that hire a buyer's agent. Okay. But I did not do that as well. Okay. My first hire was a graphic designer.
Nice. You went marketing.
I went marketing. And this is one of the reasons why, when some of the agents, when I first started in the business, some hated me because they were telling me, Joseph, your marketing, it's all self-promotion. And I was laughing deep inside. Every time they tell me that, Joseph, it's self-promotion. And I was like, who else am I going to promote? I am my own business. Have you seen Coca-Cola promoted Pepsi? There's no way. Why would Coke promote Pepsi? And the reason why I focus on marketing and graphic design was I need to make sure that the general public knew who I was. I need to make sure that they knew that I was doing something. One of the worst things that a new agent would do is if they're a secret agent. You may be good at building relationships. Yes, everyone loves you, but you're a secret agent. No one knows what you do. It's not going to work. Or you're very good at marketing yourself, but your character sucks big time. No one wants to work with you. It's not going to work. So they need to be married together. So I was focused on that one. There were a lot of growing pains because I was focused on marketing and building up the team. Because we always had this saying, right? Fake it until you make it. But my mentality was different. My mentality back then was, you'll laugh at this, you know what? I have a master's degree. I was telling that to myself. I have a master's degree in failure. I failed a lot. I'm fearless. Okay. So if I fail, great. I'm going to make sure that I fail fast. I'll fail forward. And I'm going to learn from it. And then after a graphic designer, transaction coordinator was the next hire.
I was going to say that has to come in quickly, because if you're going to sell more houses, then 100, 120. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Help more families. I think that's the critical distinction you've made early in this conversation. You don't do transactions. You help people.
I help people. And
Yeah.
on that note, Bill, when because when I moved to St. Louis, when I expanded my business over there, so I was like the new kid on the block, and I was invited to attend. I was part of a panel. It was called the Top Agent or Top Rookie Panel. So I was the only agent who came from Cape Girardeau. So they asked us how many transactions in their first year. So all of the other agents who were from St. Louis, a bigger market, okay, average sales price bigger. So three of them was like, oh, 10 transactions, 10 million. The other one's like 5 transactions, 3 million. And I said, oh my God, I worked too much. I had 35 transactions, 5 million, average sales price, 125 to 150, right?
Right.
And that also gave me the motivation. I said, you know what, if I do this right in St. Louis, average sales price much higher. You know, there's enough business for everyone. There are 14,000 agents, which is basically dominated by female realtors as well. You know, that's the case in St. Louis. And I was telling myself, well, I'm crazy enough and I have a crazy name, so I should be able to, you know, stand out a little because I work a lot. You know, I don't get tired. I love what I do so much that the problem is if you love what you do so much, you don't feel like you're working. If you don't feel like you're working, you don't get tired. If you don't get tired, you don't stop.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest mistakes when I started in this business is that, you know, there was a reason why I left my other job, and that's to spend more time with my son. Okay. My very first mistake in this business is that I got addicted to success, and I have no problems admitting that. I got addicted to success on my second year in the business because from being nobody, from being no one, from being a stay-at-home dad for 2 years, earning $0 to earning six-figure income instantly, being well known instantly. It was addicting. But I needed to learn that the hard way. You know, I got all my awards. Okay, my awards. Okay, where's my son? My son's like, he lives 2 hours away from me.
Right.
He's 2 hours away from me. So I need to spend more time with my son. And actually, that's also one of the reasons why from Keller Williams, I don't know if you knew this, from Keller Williams, I switched to Sotheby's.
I know about where you're at now.
This is a very good thing to share because with Keller Williams, I formed 7 expansion teams. Okay, I had an expansion team in the Philippines. I had an expansion team in Tampa. I had an expansion team in Orange Beach, Alabama. I had an expansion team in Cape Girardeau. I switched it. I flipped it. Okay. However, so my clever son again. So there was one day he said, "Daddy, I'm enrolling in hockey, baseball, basketball, soccer." And he was 7 years old back then. He said, "Daddy, it's about time." I said, "What do you mean, Gino? It's about time. You need to attend my sports, my games." So having a team of 20 agents when I was at Keller Williams. Okay, just imagine that. They're doing their own business. I still have my own business. That's very lucrative. That's good money. That was good money. So in order for me to attend all of Gino's games and work less, I need to increase my average sales price drastically. And in order for me to achieve that, I needed to join the top luxury company in St. Louis, which was Sotheby's.
You have changed your business mix quite a bit. I kind of did a little digging and saw some of your listings, and
Yeah.
they tend to be more in that 700 to a million range. That's your focus.
So yes, that's what I did. So when I joined Sotheby's, the Impact team became the Impact Team International.
Awesome.
Because I told myself, you know what, I need to take advantage of my CIPS designation. I need to take advantage of the reach of Sotheby's internationally when it comes to luxury homes.
Right.
So the very first 10 weeks with Sotheby's, I hosted, you won't believe this, 40 open houses, one man show.
Wow.
40 open houses in 10 weeks. That's two open houses on a Sunday and two open houses on a Saturday, 11 to 1 and 2 to 4. And I was able to have relationships with 25 luxury clients immediately. But you know what? The beauty about life is that life is full of surprises, because I was really happy with Sotheby's. The reason why I said life's full of surprises because of my rise, the Impact Team International, and I became a solo agent again, even though I called myself a team because I had a TC. I was invited again to attend, all of these panels, and became a speaker. But I was invited to attend this top agent panel. It's called the Breakfast Collaborative. So I was the only Sotheby's agent on that panel. There was one Keller Williams agent. There was one commercial agent. And the person beside me, I've never met this person before. Her name was Laura Davis. She's the owner of Better Homes and Gardens Preferred Properties here in St. Louis. After the event, I was doing my thing, mingling with other people, talking to people, doing my rounds. And she was still there. An hour later, she was still there. And then I approached her. I said, "Hi, Laura, how are you?" And she said, "Well, I would love to have coffee with you." And I said, "You know what? I would love that." Because I said, of all, I really found you interesting. I love your answers during the panel. And she was the oldest of everyone, but she's very, very knowledgeable. So we went to Starbucks a couple of days later. Man, if I thought that I was the best recruiter ever, the moment we sat down, she offered me a vice president position for the brand, Better Homes and Gardens. I said yes to her because I felt I've never met a broker who's very hands-on and yet will allow you to be yourself. Because sometimes when it comes to the traditional brokerage, they always say, oh, Joseph, your marketing, you're so in your face. I mean, that's not going to fly with traditional brokerages. But we had an understanding that she and I complement each other. When it comes to the experience part with compliance and things like that, she will always have my back. When it comes to being creative and growing the company, attracting talents, she trusts me 100%. So from 30 plus agents, now we're close to 50 agents, or even more than 50 right now. And I've only been with Better Homes and Gardens for 7 or 8 months. And she allowed me to form my own team. She trusted me, and I trusted her. So there's that mutual respect. And I actually call her mom because she's like my female version. You should meet her. If you meet her, oh my God, she's half Italian, half Spanish. And I'm Filipino. Oh my God. I mean, that's a perfect deadly combination there.
I love that. I'm taking way too much of your time, and we're recording this on a weekend, so that's important for you. And so I want to ask you this question though. We're right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advice? I mean, what are you doing? Because you have a like you said, your marketing is very straightforward out there. You yourself, I've seen you show up. It could be a bow tie and some kind of bright, lot of fun in a suit. You like to, kind of stand out. How are you handling things right now?
That is a very, very good question to others. I mean, sometimes it's hard to answer that question depending where you are. We're very lucky here in Missouri that real estate is still considered essential. Basically, believe it or not, what I'm doing right now is the exact same thing that what I've been doing before, except for the fact that I increased more virtual showings, mm-hmm. and virtual open houses. But as far as doing videos, I was already doing that before. You have two types of people, okay? People who will embrace the pandemic, or people who will complain and it's the end of the world as they know it. And this is what I always preach. I said, okay, you don't have a buyer right now because Your clients, they don't want to see properties. They want to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a listing right now, so there's really nothing to feature. Okay, I'm just giving you an example of the negative mindsets of other agents. So to those agents who have that kind of mentality, my advice to you, and this is what I've been doing with my team right now, is be involved with the community. Find a way for people to know that you care about the community. It's not always about real estate. Okay, because sometimes you have this notion, in order for people to know you, you need to talk about real estate. No, you're wrong. You have to be a human being. So last week, okay, we started our very first, we formed this program. It's called Make an Impact One Plate at a Time. We partnered with a lot of restaurants, and then we feed the front lines. So last Friday, we fed 50 nurses and respiratory therapists. And not only we were able to feed them, but we were also able to help the restaurants who are struggling right now. So we're helping two causes right now. Okay. And guess what? On our flyer, you will never see Better Homes and Gardens. Okay. You will never see the Impact Team International. You will see my logo, the lion, it's on the plate, just because I love the lion. But it's all about, caring about your community and being a human being. That's the bottom line. Because like what I said earlier, okay, there will always be people who will say, well, Joseph, I'm not really an outgoing person. I'm not going to talk to anyone. Well, I'm sorry, but you're in the wrong business. If you want to be in real estate, which number one is a service industry. Number two, it's all about relationships. This is a relationship business. This is a people business, whether you like it or not.
Joseph, I've had you here way over time, and this has been great. I want to wrap this up with the same question I've asked every guest. So my question is this: what one piece of advice would you give a new agent just getting started?
My advice is to be unapologetically you. Okay, because your vibe will attract your tribe. There's a lot of business to be had. One of many mistakes that new agents do is that they have a lot of great ideas, but they won't spit it out. They won't do it because they're so scared that their old broker won't support them because their idea might sound crazy. No, I mean, you are your own business. Yes, you are under a brokership, okay? You're under a brokerage. You're under a company. You're working with the company. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for your success. Your vibe will always attract your tribe, and there's no way you can make everyone happy either. And you just have to live with that. You need to be happy with that. So that's my advice there. Because once you master that, once you master being unapologetically you, it's going to be easier. The road ahead will be easier because you will be fearless. You won't be afraid to take up a master's degree in failure, just like what I did. I was so good at it.
Joseph, if somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to do that?
The easiest way, obviously, is on social media. Facebook, I'm the one and only Joseph Magsaysay over there. Instagram, the Joseph Magsaysay. Twitter, the guy Magsaysay. Or if you want to call me directly or text me, it's 314-337-4413.
Joseph, I can't thank you enough. I'll never forget the first time that you and I met. You really approached me in a way that I felt like we'd known each other for a decade. And so it's very obvious to me why you've had such success, continued success. I love what you're doing. And hopefully I'll see you virtually at Inman in June and hopefully maybe in New York next winter.
So Bill, I want to thank you for thinking of me. Okay. You're one of the most well-known human beings in the industry. And to be able to be part of your program is such a huge honor for me. And if I was not gung-ho in attending all of these conferences when people invited me, I would have not met you. No, I was lucky enough that, I had mentors who, oh, you need to attend Inman. Oh, you need to attend realtor.com. And then I became, I don't know if you knew this, but I accidentally became a national speaker. The title of my speaking engagement was, is, and will always be Food to Fortune.
Perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
Joseph, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. You're awesome.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Sessions podcast. To leave a review or rating, go to ratethispodcast.com/RE sessions. You can also subscribe to the podcast at your favorite podcast listening app. Finally, you can go to therealestatesessions.com and subscribe to our email newsletter and be notified whenever a new episode is released.